Can you recall that moment or that time where you went out for one thing and God set it up for something else? Let me tell you about the time where I went to a coffee shop for one thing and had one conversation that turned everything around. And it let me know that my time with what I was doing was over. Hello, welcome to Not Perfect But Ready podcast. I am your host, Alexander Clark, and this is episode 2 of season 2. And let me tell you, I'm super excited about this episode because in this episode, I'm going to tell you a story about a time where I intended to be in a meeting for one thing, and that meeting turned into something else that changed my life forever. Now, I know all of us have had that aha moment or that God moment where you just knew you had to do something about a situation or you had to change. It was time for a change in your life, in your position, in your overall mindset, whatever it was. You had a moment in your life where you were like, this is it. This is the time where I have to stop doing what I've been doing and start doing something different. And let me tell you about that time. It all started in a coffee shop. So I had a friend, and we were going out for coffee. We were just going to meet up and just see if we could network and, do business together. And in the midst of that conversation, I felt like I had to be in that meeting. I can't explain where, where my mind was at that time outside of knowing I just had to be at this meeting. Now, I've known this guy at the time, I've known him for about a year. We worked together at a warehouse, and in that moment where we were going to meet up at a coffee shop to discuss, partnering with certain things and doing business, I just knew that, hey, I don't know what's coming out of this conversation. I don't know what's going to happen in this moment, but I am going to be at this meeting. I feel a tug to be here. And lo and behold, went up to the coffee shop, met with my friend, and we spoke a little bit about different opportunities and things to how we can do business together and partner together. And as I was sitting there listening to him, he also had his mentor with him as well. And as I was sitting there listening to the conversation, I could just feel a tug of, I feel like I'm wasting my time. But in the inside, I was like, no, but I'm supposed to be here. I could tell that I was supposed to be here. But in the midst of the conversation, whatever fear and anxiety had me thinking that I was wasting my time. So after about, I'd say probably about 30, 45 minutes of, conversing and figuring things out, how we can do business together, the meeting was coming to an end. I decided not to make a decision at the time with this group, and I was just kind of just feeling it out. But this is where it shifted. It shifted right when we were walking out, and a guy who was sitting at another table stopped us and asked us, what do we do for work? And, the funny thing was, I was like, I work at a restaurant, but I was coming to see if I could do business with these guys as well. And lo and behold, the conversation lingered on for about 3 to 5 minutes of us standing at this table that another guy who I later found out his name was Tony, and Tony was accompanied with another guy named Lynn. And they were just sitting around having coffee. What I could see was a Bible as well. So I'm guessing they were having some form of Bible study or just, connecting with each other. And he just asked us what we do for work and things like that. And, the conversation just kind of lingered on into, he wanted to know what good looking men dress well and looking well, what do they do for work? And that's all it started out with. Now, I can't really tell you what part of that interaction brought an aha moment to me outside of maybe just seeing the Bible on the table and knowing beforehand I needed to be at this meeting, but during the meeting, I felt like the meeting was a waste of my time. But something between that time and seeing the Bible on the table made me realize, okay, wait, something's happening right here. Something's happening in this moment. So what I decided to do, as we all walked out, me and the two guys, we walked out and we were just kind of conversing, saying our goodbyes and whatnot. And they kind of asked, all right, so what do you have planned for the rest of the day? I was like, you know what? I don't know. But I think I'm going to go back inside this coffee shop and talk to those guys at that table. And they kind of looked at me in awe and shocked and was like, oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, whatever you want to do. Just, talk to us later, hit us up later. It's like, all right, yeah, whatever. And I go back into that coffee shop. And the minute I open the door, I can see Tony looking at me, smiling. And the one thing he said was, I could just see him smiling. I remember him smiling. And I said, I don't know what y'all are doing, but something told me to come back in here and sit down and talk with you guys. And I just remember Tony smiling, saying, praise God. And Lynn was smiling, and it was just, I don't know what it is, but I feel like I had to be here. It was one of those moments. I want to ask you, like, have you ever had that moment where you just knew, hey, I don't know what's going to come out of this, but I do know I'm supposed to be right here. I do know that my appointment is right here, right now. That was that moment for me at the coffee shop. And it was crazy because as I sat down and talked with them, I had no idea what was going to come out of that conversation. But it did change my life forever. And in that conversation, Tony, Lynn, and I, we talked about things that I've never had men in my life talk to me about. Future goals, plans, current situation, your dreams. How are you going to get there? What are you doing? Do you have mentorship? I never really had those deep hands-on conversations at that time. Now, in that time, I was actually about to be a new father. I was a first-time father at that. My daughter hadn't been born. I think she was maybe, my wife at the time, I think she was probably around 8 to 9 months pregnant at that time. Maybe even 10. Yeah, closer to 10 probably. Yeah, no, so this was May. Yeah. So anyway, so about to be a new father, working at a restaurant at that time. I think I was still doing salads and prep, and I had just kind of transitioned to a flat top and fry side. But anyway, I was just in restaurants, working, doing what I've always done, either restaurant or a warehouse kind of thing, and never really saw life or my finances bigger than what that was. But I knew there was possibility, right? So we were talking, and Tony asked me a question, man. He said, he asked me about my dreams and my goals and my visions and things like that. And I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of turning into some type of interview. So I shared with him, hey, I want to open up, a youth studio, a youth group. I want to open up a youth center to just have kids where they can be at a place where they can both exercise their gifts and talents, but also have a place where they can socialize and just connect and network with each other. And I just tell him about this whole big plan of mine, this whole vision that I have and that I can see. And he asked me one question that I never even thought about. He said, oh, okay, that's beautiful. That's lovely. Is your current situation or your current position, does it put you in a place to provide or financially afford your dream? And I got to thinking about that. I was like, oh, wow. At that time, I was a cook, salads and prep, fry side flat and flat top. And I don't remember what I was making at the time, but it definitely wasn't enough. I want to say it was definitely like under $17 an hour for sure. I think I had actually just got a raise. But anyway, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to supply or financially support my dream. And I was like, oh wow, I guess not. It was good enough to pay the bills and the rent at the time, but it wasn't enough to support the dream, right? And he said, okay, does it at least connect you with the right people so that you can, support your dream? I was like, I don't even know how do you connect with the right people. And he was just he was really asking all the questions I need to help me dig deeper about, is my current position positioning me for purpose? And that's the theme about season two. So season two is about position and purpose. Like, are you positioned for purpose? How do you find purpose in your current position? And I was just like, man, I don't know if this is actually going to support the dream. Clearly it's not. And I'm not even sure how I can get there or what it even looks like. How do you even start a business? How do you do this thing, right? And I was just like, I don't know. I guess it doesn't. He's like, well, what do you need? What kind of how much would you need a month to, have the abundant life that you want to have and do things like that? And at that time, I mean, this was 2018. So at that time, I was still coming from a small city, small town mindset. And I was just like, I don't know. I mean, probably 5,000 a month. Coming from Missouri, I mean, minimum wage at the time when I first started working, minimum wage for me was like 5.15 an hour. That's when I first started working, and then I think as I got older, it got up to maybe 7.50, $8 an hour. I don't. It was low. So to me, I'm thinking, shoot, 5,000, that's good enough. I mean, I was only making like 16 something an hour, and that wasn't clearly enough. So, uh, and I just remember Tony like smiling and laughing. He's like, "Oh, okay, all right. Wow. So, what jobs out there or have you looked into that are going to give you that or more?" It's like, I don't know, probably probably a manager position or something like that. And he smiled, and then Lynn was sitting next to me on this side. Lynn starts laughing, and I'm like, what? What's so funny? And Tony was kind of laughing and smiling too. And Lynn was like, I guess he has no idea who he's talking to or who he's working with. I was like, oh, I guess not. I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I see the nice shirt he had. Tony had on a nice shirt, nice button-up shirt, and I saw the company name on his shirt. And at that time, he was working for Comcast or Xfinity. And I was just like, man, okay, yeah, no, I literally just got my internet and stuff set up the other day. And it was crazy because I didn't really pay attention to that until Lynn started laughing. Like, I guess he don't know who he's talking to. So at that time, Tony was like I believe he was the one of the district managers or field managers at that time, and it was pretty obvious that I had no idea what that involved or entailed in that position, or all the things that came along with that. So he started laughing, and he told me about people on his team, and the kind of mindset you have to work on his team, and things like that, because it was in sales. It was door-to-door sales at that, so it was I never did sales, especially door-to-door, and that's kind of the hardest thing to get into, or at least to survive in, right? So I was like, okay, yeah, you work for Comcast, cool. Yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm down. I'm down to make that change, to do what I got to do to support my dream, whether it's financially or just connect me with the right people. Um, I'm done with restaurants, right? And that was my moment where I realized my time with restaurants is over. My time at just doing what I'm used to doing, or doing what's comfortable or what comes natural, as far as, oh, well, I'm supposed to just have uh, a standard 9 to 5. That was natural to me. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. It's clearly not supporting the bills. I actually came here to try to do business with somebody else. I didn't feel like that was the right business. and then God leads me to you. So I know this is it. I got to do whatever it takes because I know that this is that moment for me where I was supposed to be here at this time talking to you. So that's what happened. Tony talks to me. He kind of interviews me. He's like, "Hey, man, there's people on my team that are bringing in $10,000+ a month. Would that be something you'd be interested in?" I was like, I need to see. I need proof. Now I don't know if that's just a part of my culture or something, but I'm from the show me state. You have to show me. I need to see somebody's pay stub that shows that they had $10,000+. And lo and behold, he showed me a few. Definitely had some people on the team, pretty much the whole team, bringing in that kind of money. I was like, wow, that's insane. But he told me it wouldn't be easy, and I was like, you know what? It's going to be uncomfortable. He said, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be comfortable. And I was like, you know what? I'm ready to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, man. I got to challenge myself. I got to do this for my family. I got a baby on the way in August. And at this time, it was like May. I was like, I got to do whatever I got to do whatever it takes, man. I can't keep living paycheck to paycheck. And he said, all right, cool. I will have you meet with one of my top writers and see what he thinks, And then if he says everything's cool, you're good, then we'll have an actual interview and I'll have you, fill out the application and things like that. So, like the next day, he sends me the link to the application, and I was working at the restaurant. And I literally on my break filled out that application, sent it over quick. I guess he escalated because I got another phone call right away about setting up an interview. I met with one of his trusted authorities at the time, which was, I think his name was Randall. Met with him at a coffee shop, another coffee shop, and Randall suggested a couple books for me to read, just to develop the sales mindset and the prospecting mindset and things like that. And read those books, invested myself, and like I got to do this. This is it. And man, let me tell you, that interview that I had with him, it was intense, but it was something that no matter what and how it went, I knew I was supposed to be here. So I knew this was meant for me. I knew that this was positioning me for purpose. And it didn't matter how uncomfortable I felt, I had to make myself comfortable with understanding that this is where I'm supposed to be, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of how challenging it may seem. This is where I'm supposed to be. And I, lo and behold, I got the job. Actually, he was like, dude, that was a great interview. We already knew we were going to hire you. We just wanted to make it a little bit, a little bit intense for you. And it was. It got to a point where the hood almost came out. I'll say that. Excuse me, I'll take a sip to that. The hood almost came out for sure, because one thing I learned about myself, and I'll give all the credit to my mom because she helped me realize it. I didn't like people telling me what to do. I didn't like people telling me I couldn't do anything. And I also didn't like people leading me that I didn't even know. Like, I don't know you. Who are you to try to coach me or tell me what I should be doing? You don't even know me. So anytime people gave me advice and they didn't know me, it was really hard for me to receive that gracefully or out of respect, because in my mind, you don't know me enough to tell me anything. So, yeah, I later on matured after that. So now I know that you can learn just from anybody. So it really doesn't matter who it is. But no, man, it was dope. Like I said, I got the job, and it did change my life forever. It did put me in a place where, man, I had like my first $10,000 month in 2 months. And it was crazy. I actually ended up buying my first car with my own money, like literally in August. Like right before my daughter's born, I had bought a new car. We had got a new car, and then my daughter was born like the next day. So like my life had changed in 90 days financially. Like I went from $3,600 a month to, $10,000+ a month, easy, just for being in the right place and knowing that God called me to go to a meeting that I wasn't so sure I wanted to go to, but I knew I had to be there. And I was meeting with someone else, met with that someone else, and ran into Tony and Lynn, and that was who I really needed to talk to at that time. That was what the meeting was all about. It was about, me trusting God with whatever the situation was. And even if I didn't understand at the time why, I just had to trust him. And that's what I want to ask you guys. What was that moment that you knew God was asking you to just trust him? You didn't understand why. You didn't understand why this connection is happening between you and this person, or you and this church, or you and this coworker or whatever, but you know that it's supposed to happen. And I want to encourage you all to take time to really ask God to speak to you in that situation, to speak to you in that relationship, to speak to you in that opportunity. Because one thing I can tell you for sure, when you feel that God is calling you or pulling you towards something, you gotta trust him, and you gotta go through it. You gotta see it through. No matter what, something greater is coming out on the other side. And I wrote down a couple things that I want y'all to think about. This is some of the things I learned in this situation. First of all, purpose does not expire, but your position does. And what I wanted to say about that, my purpose for who I am and who I was becoming doesn't expire, but my position in the current job I was in, that did. And this is all about knowing where you are, your current position. It may be about to expire, but your purpose is not. You may be ready to quit. You may be ready to transition into a new role, and that's okay, because positions expire, but purpose does not. The other thing I wrote down is God will let you stay in the room, but eventually he flicks on the light and lets you know when it's time to go. In my mind, I was stuck in restaurants and things like that for years. I mean, at that time, I had technically been working in restaurants for like 15 years. And I was okay with that. Nothing against anybody that's in that situation and loves their job at restaurants. I appreciate all lines of customer service and serving. However, for me, in that season in my life, that was the moment where God told me, hey, it's time to hang up your apron. It's time to put away the apron. It's time to step into something else, step into something bigger, something greater, that's going to position you for purpose, or put you in a better position for your purpose. And that was just my turning moment for me. And you have to think about those turning moments for you. The other thing that I wrote down is, when your season is up, staying becomes harder than leaving. When your position is up, staying becomes harder than leaving. So when you know it's time to go, there are going to be things sometimes to pop up, maybe a promotion, maybe a new connection with a friend. There are things that will try to keep you there. And you will start to realize that this isn't working. This isn't, this isn't where I'm supposed to be. I will say this, or it could be the opposite. I know for me, there were times where when I knew my position was over in a certain situation or a certain job or whatever, it actually got worse. Things actually became worse in that position with those coworkers or with that leadership. Whatever, it just got worse. And there were times where I failed at my exit, right? My leaving the position. Because when things got worse, so did I. Oh shoot! So y'all gonna treat me like this? I shouldn't even have to give y'all 2 weeks. I'ma just dip, whatever attitude I may have had at that time. I realized that that was not the proper way to handle it. So I'll tell you this: if you are starting to realize that your position is over and things are getting worse around you, have a positive attitude and stay positive, because that's one thing that I learned, that as I was transitioning to the next position, I didn't carry on that negative luggage or that negative energy from being upset about my exit in the last position. It actually became easier to leave because I knew where I was going. I had hopes for where I was going. I was not being bitter about where I was because I was so happy and focused on where I was going. Even if I didn't know the outcome, I just knew it was what I was supposed to do. And I also wrote this down too. Pivoting isn't quitting, it's alignment. Pivoting isn't quitting, it's alignment. When you pivot into a different position or a different career, it's not really quitting. You're just aligning yourself. You're putting yourself in the right alignment with purpose. And that's the point of knowing when it's time to go, when it is time to make a change, when it is time to pivot, shift, and align yourself with your purpose. Some of us are stuck in what we're used to, not realizing that it's time to push through that and step into something new. And you may be feeling that call right now in your life, like, okay, I got to get out of what I'm used to and step into something new. If that's you today, listen, man, I encourage you to literally take that step of faith, position yourself in the right position to take that step and literally go for it. Don't wait till everything's perfect. Don't wait till everything's right. If God told you to do it tonight, get it done tonight, right? So I want you to think about this. I gotta make sure I don't butcher this question. Where in your life are you holding on to something that's already sent you a goodbye text? Is it a job? Is it a relationship? Is it a career? Is it a mindset? Is it a fear? What are you holding on to that's already said goodbye to you? Let it go. Let it go. You don't need everything to be perfect. All you need is to just be willing to do what you got to do and just be ready. Like, you don't need to be ready enough, just be ready. And that's the whole point of like the podcast. It's not perfect, but I'm ready. You don't have to have everything all lined up and everything looking spectacular. I've been doing videos like this on iPhones and flip phones and all types of stuff. I just been blessed with a nice camera like this. So I've been doing this for a while before everything was looking the way it looks now, and I still have work to do, but it doesn't matter. I'm still doing this because this is what I want to do. This microphone, it took me a while to get something like this, but I was doing things before I had this. I didn't wait until I got it. I started doing it when I knew it was time. regardless of what that is for you or what that looks like in your situation. Stop waiting for everything to be perfect when you're ready. So yeah, I guess I hope that really encouraged you guys to think about what's going on in your mind. I'm gonna wrap this up, but I hope that really encouraged you to think about, like, okay, when was that moment for me? You know, because shifts happen, and when it does happen, don't fight it. You really gotta just enjoy it and let God be God, and let God guide you into the new you, the purpose you, position you into the right things at the right time with the right people. I want you to ask yourself, what has God, what is my purpose, and what position am I in? And does my position, my current position, help me align with my purpose? Write it down. Write down your purpose, write down your position, and look at it and make sure, do they align? Is there a way that I can find purpose in my position, or do I need to change my position to get closer to purpose? Man, there's so much I want to say, but I'm going to close this episode today because there's a lot to take in, at least for me, because I'm starting to remember certain things. But it's like, at the end of the day, when you have that moment where God says, hey, I need to position you here for this reason, or he may not even give you the reason, but he may say, hey, I need you to go to that coffee shop. I need you to go to this meeting. I need you to talk to this person. I need you to give them gas. I need you to, whatever it is, do it, because there's something greater on the other side for you. And he is literally positioning you for purpose. So if you're ready to be positioned in purpose, then focus and listen to God and trust him when he's positioning you, even when you don't understand why, because he has a reason. It could be at a coffee shop, it could be at a gas station, it could be at school, it could be at work, it could be at home. But wherever it is, do it to the max and trust him all the way. All right. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Not Perfect But Ready podcast. Again, I'm your host, Alexander. This is where we, want progress over perfection every time. I'll see y'all in the next one. But until then, God bless.